Hello, Funke Oyende here. Welcome to the Leaf Handbag Masterclass. So today I'm going to take you through how to make this beautiful nature-inspired leaf handbag. So we're going to begin by looking at what materials we are going to use to make our beautiful bag. So let me show you the materials right away. So this is the fabric we are going to be using. We are using this green fabric. Then we use this other one for the inner, for the lining, to line the inside of the bag. We'll be using glue. This is rubber cement glue, and I'll be using this small container to empty the glue inside and use the brush. We'll be using zipper for our closure, and then we'll be using our chain handle. Yes, those are essentially the materials we'll be using, but we need to cut our pattern. So okay, for the pattern, this is the pattern we are using for the bag. You can see it's leaf shape. So I drew this shape on leaf on a paper, and I cut it out. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. So after you have cut your pattern, you are going to transfer it onto Mako. This is the pattern. I've transferred it to Mako. So I cut two, one front, one back piece from Mako. This is foam. It's like thick foam that we're going to use for the bag. So it's part of the bag materials too. So these are the two sides, and then this is the bottom piece. So let me show you how you can cut your. So to cut your pattern, you grab your paper. This is actually an old calendar, and then you're going to draw the shape of your leaf. The size of bag you want will determine the size of leaf you draw. So if you want a bigger bag, a small one, medium size, so the size depends on what you want. So you just draw your leaf, and that's it. So once you draw it, you cut out your leaf, and that becomes your pattern. So you just cut it out, and you have your pattern. And you are still going to need soft cardboard for the inner part of the bag. You can use soft cardboard, you can use cardboard paper for that, because you are going to use that cardboard, that soft cardboard paper, together with the lining fabric to form the inside part of your bag. So this is the leaf shape, you can see it. So once you draw that, you transfer it to your Mako and cut out your front and back pieces. You also use it to cut the inner part of your bag, the one you use together with your lining fabric. So these are the two I'll be using together with the lining fabric. I'll be using this and the lining fabric together. I'll be gluing them together to form the inside part of the bag, while I use this main fabric together with my Mako for the outside part of the bag. So then another thing you should note is that this of course I use old calendar for this, because my old calendar is somehow thick. So it's thick enough, but you can use cardboard paper also. But I actually is the same size of my leaf, my pattern, but I reduced this inner part, this one I'm going to use with the lining. I reduced it a little bit around, about quarter of an inch. I reduced it around so that it's a bit smaller than the one I'll be using with the main fabric, so that we don't want the lining to be, you know, sticking out and showing out around, so I had to reduce it a very little bit. So remember to do that. All right, so the next thing to do now is to start working on our bag. So let's begin by applying glue. I'm going to use my brush and apply glue to the back side of my mako. When you are cutting your mako for your bag, make sure you cut a right and a left. So that means you have to reverse one before you cut the other, so that you have a right and a left. You shouldn't have two right or two left. So after you have applied your glue, then next I'm going to now place that glue side on my fabric and cut it out. So you spread out your fabric. This is the main fabric. You open it out and place your mako on top. The side with glue, you place it on top of the main fabric. And then you use your hand to press it onto it, and then you cut it out. So but while cutting out, you leave allowance of about 1 inch around the mako. Now I have my fabric cut around the two pieces, the front and the back. So next I'm going to apply glue onto the edges round about and fold the extra fabric in. So let's do that now. So you just apply your fabric, your glue around the foam all around. So after applying my glue to the edges, I'm going to fold the extra fabric in. So but you have to like cut that place so you'll be able to fold it properly. So I've folded the extra fabric in all around except the base of the bag, so that I have not folded in. Then you trim off all the excess fabric at the tip and make sure it's as neat as possible. And then we will now go to the next aspect, which is to design the front of the bag. We're going to draw our veins, and we're going to put veins in front of the bag. So you can use chalk to draw your veins. So let me do that. So you grab your chalk and draw your vein. As many as you want. So once you have drawn your veins, then you can now get this accessory, this tiny bit of accessories. See how tiny they are, and it has some tiny hooks and begin to arrange on the vein lines to highlight your vein. So you can do that and arrange this all around. That is one way. Alternatively, you can decide to sew it out to make it faster, because this is going to take quite some time before you finish arranging this. So but to make it faster, you can get on your sewing machine and sew this out with your sewing machine for a faster finish. So I'm going to opt for the sewing machine option now. Alright, so after stitching on the sewing machine, this is what I have. So all the veins are now highlighted, and so we're going to proceed to the next stage. So in the next stage, there are two things I'm going to do. I'm going to sew the zipper to this right side of the bag. This right side is going to carry the zipper, and this left side, I'm just going to, do right side facing. I'm going to stitch these two sides together. I'll stitch it closed, then I will insert my zipper here and here. So let me get that done. Now, as I want to insert the zip to the right side of the bag, I don't want my zip to open all the way to the top of the bag at the tip here. So I want to use some of the fabric to cover a little bit of it and turn it up so that the zipper will open and stop somewhere here. So I just cut a little fabric, folded it in two, stitch it down, and then I'll turn it up, stitch it to the sides, and then I'll be able to stitch it to both sides of the bag. So I've sewn in the zipper on the two sides. You can see it and see the top, the one I used fabric to close up. So I had to remove the puller, the zipper puller, so it will be easier for me to sew. Then I will insert the puller back, and I'll turn right sides together and just sew this place together, leaving the bottom for turning. Alright, so I've sewn that side, and this is the other side with zipper. So now I'm going to, around this bottom piece, this side, I have 10 inches, around 10 inches, and this is the base of the bag. This is my 10 inches cut from Marco. So I'll just apply glue to the back of it and glue it to the fabric. So after putting in the glue, I'm going to glue it to the fabric and cut it out. So next, I'm going to now, I've cut it out around with some fabric allowance around it. So I will now open this base, and I'll be sewing this to the base, right side facing. So I'm going to stitch it around. Alright, so I've sewn it around. You have to sew on the Marco so that it is firm. So I'm supposed to turn it right side out now. But before I do that, we're going to hang our long handle on the bag. So I made tiny strips like this. So I'm going to attach it to rings, small rings, and sew it to this part of the bag here and here, so that the long handle will hang from it. So I'm going to sew it in before I turn it right side out. Alright, so that is done now. That is it here in between the zipper and the Marco, and the other one is tucked in from the inside than it has, so I will be turning it right side out. So then we have our bag, but before we finish, you remember the inner parts, the one I used soft cardboard or old calendar. So I'm going to apply glue here and glue it to the lining fabric, just like we did for the body. Glue it to the lining fabric, turn it in all around, do the same here, so that we can tuck it in to make the inside neat. So let's do that now. So here they are. Here are the two inner parts, and here is the base, all glued around. So next I will apply glue to this inner part of the two pieces and the inner and the base. I will also apply glue to these two sides and the base, and I will tuck this in. I will tuck it in, and close up the inner parts neatly. So let's get that done. So after you've applied the glue inside of the bag and on your pieces, so you allow them some time, like 5-10 minutes, for the glue to cure, because this time around you have glue on both sides. So you allow some time for the glue to cure, and then you tuck your pieces in to finish your bag. So let's tuck them in. All right, so after tucking it in, you zip up your bag and we are done. So you just attach your long handle. And we are done. All right, so just get a chain handle. This shoulder pad aspect of it is just simple. If you want shoulder pad in between like this, so just cut your pattern, 2 pieces from thick cardboard, and then you glue your main fabric around both sides. No lining. You glue your main fabric around both sides, turn the extra fabric in on both sides and put them together, wrong side facing, and you sew around, and then you attach your chain handle to both sides. So, and then here we have our leaf handbag finished. You can see. So I'll be waiting to see your leaf handbag. Thank you very much. Funke Oyende signing off and saying bye for now. Thank you.